Hey, welcome everyone. It's 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Thanks for joining me. My name's Jacqui Lewis, and I am the clinical nutritionist for BN Multi. And each Tuesday we meet on the page and we talk about all things to do with health and nutrition and just different issues that we might face after weight loss surgery. So this week we're talking about mindset. I'm just trying to hear myself. I'm not very loud. We're talking about mindset and what it takes to adopt appropriate mindset to keep making the right choices and continue a successful journey after weight loss surgery. And during the week, each week in the group, we run a poll, which is related to the subject of the live session, and we collate your responses in regard to the topic so that we've got your input as far as what you would like to hear more about. So please, when you see the polls, if you're in the group, in the BN Bariatric group, please give us your responses, because it helps us to formulate and understand what you're looking for as far as support and information goes. So this week we talked about, I'll share my screen. This week we were talking about what strategies you used to maintain your mindset and keep you on track. And we're getting such a great response overall. So thank you all for taking the time to comment and give us your input. 77 people said, I don't know much. 77 people said, I don't know much and I wish I knew more about what to do. 55% said, 55 votes said, I use social media and forums to keep myself motivated, sharing with people in a similar situation to me. And that, I think, is fantastic. It's fantastic if you're in the right place and that you're getting good information that's safe and it's not, overriding that information that you're being provided by your team. So always go with your dietitian and your surgeon's advice first. Yes, we all like to compare how do we do this with others, but at the same time, we have to be cautious that everybody's an individual and each are given different recommendations, perhaps for specific reasons that are unique to you. So always keep that in mind when you're taking information from social media, that it's a nice platform and it is very supportive. And our group is particularly supportive, which I've never had to cull, nasty comments and trolling and that sort of stuff from our group. And I'm really proud of that. So do that. 47 votes said, I have regular appointments with my dietitian or other healthcare practitioner, which is great. And the research shows that people who do maintain their relationship with their professional team are more successful. And the reason for that is that small things that may become problematic later on will be picked up early. So lots of things like nutritional deficiency, which will cause you issues down the track, will be picked up early and dealt with, or even prevented, because you are checking in regularly with your team and getting that input as far as nutrition goes. The other thing is when habits start to slide, that's often a time where we'll avoid our team because we feel like we're not doing the right thing. But that's the time when you reach out early, don't leave it too late. And that way you can say, hey, I'm just noticing that lately I've been eating my carbs first and not my protein, and I'm having trouble shaking that habit again. They'll give you a tool that will tweak that quite early before it becomes, hey, I just gained 20 kilograms because I was eating my carbohydrates first and I'm always hungry now. So get in early if something's changing and you're finding that it's unusual behavior or unusual reaction to food, or something is changing. 23 votes said exercise helps keep the endorphins flowing and makes sure I stay on track, which is fabulous. 12 said they practice mindful eating and meditation. That would be something I'd love to see up here at 77. The mindful eating and meditation to keep people focused is also very well proven as far as habit changes go. and also keeping stress out of the picture and a whole lot of other things. If you're looking into those kind of practices, there's a range of mindfulness is one of them, and particularly mindful eating is something to have a look up as well. Glenn McIntosh is doing a program at the moment called Intuitive Eating, and that we've covered in the group and in the lives as well. And it's, again, a beautiful approach to grasping your understanding of how you eat, why you eat, when you eat, and making it a bit more organic and natural without all the stress involved in it. 12 people said they don't really have to. I'm just committed. I find it just comes naturally. And those 12 people, good on you. So that's really interesting to see the range. 77 don't know much about it and wish they knew more about what to do about keeping your mindset in place. So it tells me there could be room for us to explore that. The podcast, the AWLS podcast, is kind of my platform for doing that. So I invite guests on who work with mindset, with looking at limiting beliefs, with behavior, with relationships, with self, and also self-care. One that's coming up soon is the girls from the Art of Decluttering. And interesting how we look at decluttering our environment, and why would that be something that we'd explore as, changing our habits and, giving us a different angle on life. And I can tell you, the minute you cut out all the stuff that's crowding you and stopping you or taking your time up to manage, you'll find that with it comes this freedom and flexibility and extra time to think about what it is that you'd like to do, and things you'd like to change about you or your lifestyle. So that's a great place to start. I've done a number of podcasts on mindset with different people who take different angles. So you'll find one in there with Gay Landetta, who does a lot of kinesiology and coaching from that perspective. You'll find Anthony Bonici, who runs the Brain Blinkers program. And that's a brilliant thing, is when we find ourselves in a situation where maybe our health and our weight and our food has gotten out of control, we look at what purpose does that serve us? There must be some kind of gain out of being in that situation. So he looks at, what is that block or that thing that I can't see that keeps me stuck here? And consciously, I think I don't want to be here. And unconsciously, there's something at work that is keeping things stuck there. So sometimes when we do have the surgery and weight loss is on the table, and for the first time, people feeling like they're succeeding, and that can be a foreign emotion as well. So also learning how to deal with success is something that may have to be tweaked when you're going along your journey as well, because you'll find that if that's at work, you'll get to a point where you're feeling like all your little ducks are in a row, and for the first time you're feeling how you'd like to, and then suddenly you'll start doing things that are sabotaging that. So it's looking at you and what's coming up in your space to see whether there's room for changing those blocks. The other thing is looking at mindset as far as habits and associations and what we were taught when we were kids about eating food and that sort of thing. So there's a whole mindset. We talk about it quite loosely, but it is a very broad topic. And there's so many different things you can do to kind of keep those habits front of mind. This morning I posted in the group, what are you doing this morning? What was your morning routine like? What choices are you making to start the day to help with making healthy lifestyle choices? So it's looking at the time that you have available and implementing strategies that will help you to make those choices that someone who lives a healthy life makes. I read a book, I'm trying to think what it was called. I think it was in Atomic Habits, James Clear. That's a brilliant book. If you're looking at changing your mindset about anything, Atomic Habits is my favorite all-time book. He wrote a story about a woman who was overweight, And the one thing she changed about herself was that she would ask, before she did everything, she would ask, what would a healthy person do here? What would a healthy person do here? So if she was heading off to McDonald's for lunch, she'd head out and she'd go, would a healthy person go to McDonald's for lunch? What would a healthy person do? So she kept asking this question with everything she did. If she went to get a cab instead of walking, she would say, what would a healthy person do? So she chose to walk. So always questioning and putting in your mind's eye the understanding of what your goal is, your healthy lifestyle or your weight loss or your, better health, or eliminating different health conditions that you have, or pain, that sort of thing, or even relationships. Some people find that carrying excess weight is getting in the way of them wanting to socialize or meet new people and that sort of thing. So it depends on, there's a ream of reasons that we end up taking the opportunity to do the surgery. So it's reminding yourself of, why did I do that? And what does a person who has those qualities do every day? So does a healthy person get up at the very last minute, leave their bed in a mess, leave the curtains shut, quickly get ready for work, miss breakfast? Or does a healthy person have a think about what's on the next day? Do they get ready for the next day? Do they get their exercise gear out so it's ready to go, and set the alarm a little bit earlier? So it's looking at what would it be that would need to be in place if you were to make different choices and have a different kind of health mindset. So it can be challenging, and it's not without its bumps in the road. So it's never going to be perfect. And there'll be days where you're like, nah, I'm not going to do what the healthy person's doing. And that's okay, so long as the next day you go, I'm back on track, I'm doing what the healthy person does, and kind of what it is that you're looking for. So overall, I think if you're interested, we can post some more ideas about where to get information about mindset and health. I did another podcast with Amber Kay, who does the Get Back on Track after weight loss surgery. She has a program. She also has a book. So on our website as well, you'll find a really good range of different resources that if you're finding you're feeling a little bit lost, or you're making choices that you wouldn't necessarily do. Generally, we've either written a blog about it, we have a product that will support that, and we have a range of different kind of support products and books. So please, whenever you're feeling a bit stuck, just revisit our site, and you can search on keywords, you can have a look in the product range and see what it is that you're looking for. And generally you'll find a solution, which is what we're all about. The other thing you can do is post some specific questions in the book if you're interested in learning a little bit more, and I can certainly support that. But there is definitely evidence for cognitive behavioural therapy if you're looking at creating a change in mindset. There's also great research on meditation, transcendental meditation, mindfulness meditation. Yoga is just meditation, but you're just moving your body as you do it, so it's a bit of a bonus. For people who find that meditation is like, I'm too bored, I can't sit still, I just can't do that, yoga is a really good place to start, and anyone can do it if you just find a beginner's class in your local area. Yoga will actually change your life overall in so many different ways if you're consistent. It'll give you an idea of what your body's capable of. It'll take you on an inner journey as well, and just being in the presence of the people who are also interested in yoga. It's pretty infectious, and there's a lot to be gained for it. A lot of people who've had addictions will turn to yoga, meditation, that sort of thing. And that's where the gold is, in making those changes in the habits and the brain. So get online and search for your closest yoga class. Maybe that's something we check out this week together. I've also done a podcast with Lexi Crouch, who did have disordered eating and is now a yoga instructor, and she swears by it that was the one key thing that really changed her thinking and her way of being for the better. And I can vouch for that too. I've done a lot of yoga and I found it just, it was something that certainly did make changes when they were needed. So good on you guys for doing your practice of mindfulness, meditation and eating. If anyone doesn't know what mindful eating is, post me a question in the group and we'll cover it as well, because it is something that's great to pay attention to. There's 100 reasons for that. And the research shows that if people are relaxed and happy when they're eating, they draw more nutrition from the food. So having all that set up and your nervous system relaxed while you're eating and being present and enjoying your food and giving it a different outlook is something that's really important as well. So a couple of others have added some other questions to the, let me finish the share. There we go. What about I've fallen back into looking after everyone else and putting myself last? Big one, should have had it in there. And this is a key too, is when you're, you know, newly recovering and you've got all this stuff to learn about, and this, you know, is the decision that you've made for you. Sometimes that's the first time you've ever put yourself first. But as time goes on and people kind of forget what you're trying to achieve and you get busy and you've got family or friends and all that sort of stuff, but a lot of people do get to the point where they are prioritizing others, and that would come under, we call it self-care or self-love or selfing, which is not selfish. And a lot of people talk about being selfish when they're putting themselves first and saying no to others. And it's quite the opposite. If your cup is empty because you've given to everybody else, you're going to do it begrudgingly. So you might as well fill your own cup first and then see if you've got some spillover for others. And of course, we can't just go off on our own little tangent and go to yoga and meditate all day because we've got responsibilities. But inside your day, there's always time for you and for making the choices that support you and your goals overall. So the kind of most important place to start is with communicating your new boundaries. And it may be a family meeting, it might be a letter you write, or it might be just someone you need to have a conversation with if you are finding you're, you know, putting them first, or, you know, you're not the highest priority. You might have a conversation that goes something like, hey, you know, I'm trying to, you know, regain my health, or I'm trying to make all these changes and I'm feeling that I'm still spread a bit too thin. Can we revisit the way we delegate, you know, the workload around the house? Or is there anything I can, you know, take some time on the weekend for myself to actually get my food ready? Or you need to tell people what your needs are, because generally if you have been putting people first, they don't know that you even have needs. And without a clear conversation and communication about it in a calm and friendly, positive way, they're simply not going to really know what you're about. And as you do go through the journey and you make these changes and your mindset does change, there'll be things that you used to say yes to that are a definite no now. And to stop you becoming resentful of people asking you or expecting you to be the person that you were, the only way for them to recognize you as a new person is to say, hey, guess what? I don't do that anymore. Or here's what I've chosen to do now. I'm going to do this and then I'll do that. So it's up to you to, people aren't mind readers. And that's when, you know, different disgruntled and resentments can build, is when you're expecting people to read your mind about, you know, who you are now and what you will and won't do. So often it might take that little bit of conversation around supporting yourself. And, you know, I'm going to go to yoga, for instance, and maybe inviting. We usually spend time together on a Wednesday night. Would you like to come to class with me instead? Or those sorts of things, or finding people who are interested in coming along, and then you'll find a whole new tribe as well. So very good. Oh yeah. So also Margaret said she measures and takes pics, which means it gives her that visual reminder of keep on going and keep making these choices, which is a great idea. Thank you. The questions for this week, Vicky said, I live alone and find evenings are the hardest to get through. I know I'm not hungry, but I find myself wanting to eat and I really have to distract myself. I try just to drink tea or coffee, but that affects my sleep. And although sleep is another area that I have concerns me. So yeah, it's looking at those triggers of, I've had dinner, I'm not hungry, but I'm bored or I'm lonely or I'm distracted or I am overwhelmed, or whatever it is, that emotion that you're having needs to be defined, and then you work out what you're going to do with it instead of eat it. So looking at, is it emotional? Is it, are you genuinely hungry? But yeah, and what are you distracting yourself with? Because I think when we remove something, I think we've talked about it before, if you're removing something, like food or something that you normally do, you need to replace it with something that's equally as satisfying. So you might need to do a little inventory of, well, I really like to eat whatever after dinner, and what would I do instead of that that would still float my boat? So it might be, oh, I really love that TV show, or I really love that podcast, or I really like to, I don't know, walk the dog, or I really enjoy training the dog. Often that's a good distraction if you have a dog, is get involved in stimulating your dog's intellect and learning how to teach it new things. And that's an investment of time that's very rewarding, and also gives you a bit of love on the way back. So things like that, instead of thinking I'm bored, I'm going to eat, what else could you be doing? Do you need something to do with your hands? Do you need a new hobby? Is there anything else that would take your interest that would distract you? Can you call a friend or a family member and just have a quick chat, or get onto Facebook or our group, and create a community that way if there's no one physically? I mean, these days we have access to people everywhere. The other thing, there's many groups, so you can have a look around at different things that you are interested in and do the research on them via Facebook groups and that sort of thing. So essentially it's looking at what am I, and often tea is a bit of an outlet for food, which of course will upset your sleep. So you could either find something else instead of tea, like a herbal tea that you enjoy, without the caffeine in it, and that might be the replacement, or you could find something else to do with that time. The other thing to do is that a craving only lasts a couple of minutes, so it's looking at distracting yourself just for that period of time. Go brush your teeth, maybe go out for a walk for 10 or 15 minutes, and by the time you get back, you're over it generally. Thank you. Shirley wrote, my problem is when I'm home alone and I don't eat 3 meals a day. I skip breaky and lunch, maybe only to nibble through the day. That is, I always have dinner though, and I don't drink hardly any water. I don't know how you get to dinner. I know I should, but I just can't seem to get in the routine of eating regularly and drinking water. How would you set yourself up for 3 meals a day? Great question. And just asking, it's fantastic that you've recognized this and you're looking for tools. So the first thing is to be prepared, so that when you get up, you don't have to go, oh my God, I don't like breakfast, or I'm not eating breakfast. Don't make it a chore by then having to make it when you're in that mindset. So look at it from maybe a weekend point of view, or the night before. Set yourself up with easy solutions that are just by the by. I mean, don't make a big deal out of it. If you not excited about it, keep it simple. Maybe boil a couple of eggs and have them on hand with a piece of rye bread and some tomato or something like that. I can see when you do live alone how food becomes quite uninspiring, because it's often a shared experience, or it's a conversation that you've had with someone about, hey, what are we going to have for breakfast, or what do you like to do? When we kind of then it's more of that social outlet, particularly when you're on your own, or when you're, and you're only able to eat such a small amount of food. It's very easy to think, I just won't bother because it's all that effort and I'm only eating half a cup or a cup of food anyway. But what you could do is make up batch cooking of things like chili con carne, or slow cooked meals and that sort of stuff. If you prepare 3 full batches and portion them all off and freeze them. You're not eating the same thing all the time, but you've got something that's ready to go. I roast big trays of vegetables and just have them ready for when I'm having breakfast or lunch or dinner. I don't get hung up on breakfast foods. Often I'll have meat and veggies for dinner, for breakfast, and that's no big deal. So find what works for you. Often I'll cook up, 2 or 3 different types of meat. Maybe I'll make chicken thighs or roast a whole chicken or something like that. So there's 2 or 3 things to choose from depending on what I feel like. So it's making sure that you are offering yourself variety. But yeah, certainly missing 2 of the biggest meals of the day and getting to dinner with not much water and food, it does need to change. So I'm glad you're asking. I don't know if I've answered that very well, but on our website, there are the ebooks, the downloadable ebook recipe collections. So there's one for salads, there's one for winter, there's a couple of others. If you go to the bariatric recipes tab and have a look at our ebooks, you'll come up with some great ideas there. There's also a really good book on our website called Single Serves, which is really helpful if you are on your own, but also it's little portions of food that are transportable and easy to make as well. So that might be a place, is just drawing a group of ideas together and then just preparing the ones that excite you and having them on offer. The other thing you can do is do like overnight oats, and I make up almost a week of those at a time just in a lunchbox. Take enough oats, seeds, nuts, yogurt, a bit of dried fruit, and just soak it, and then that's not going to go off overnight. So you might use that for breakfast for 4 mornings of the week. I don't get upset with eating the same food all the time if it's doing me good. And I think if you're trying to create less fuss around food, you might find that you just have like 2 breakfast choices that you like, or, 2 lunches. That big deal. I eat it because it's food and it's nourishing me. It doesn't have to be exciting. And yeah, it takes the chore out of it. So it's being prepared is the biggest thing, and having food prepared that you enjoy and is transportable. The other thing is to make sure you've got enough containers at home to, you're not trying to mix everything in. Also on our website, we have a lot of the portion lunch boxes and food transport options for hot and cold food. So that's a big way of setting yourself up with, I've got my, my lunch boxes, and I've got my hot food, and I've got my thermal bag or whatever, and then you're ready to go. You've got food and you just pop it in and then off you go. So it keeps it simple in a lot of ways. But please, Shirley, try that. Breakfast particularly is a really important meal because it sets you up for the rest of the day, and it helps you to be more energetic. It helps you to think well, and it protects your health. And certainly if you're only eating a very small dinner, your nutritional needs are definitely not being met. So protein and all your vitamins and minerals. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Tryan asked, can you have coffee? If so, how much can you drink? That was a popular question. I think the mention of the word coffee usually gets somebody's attention. Yeah, most people can drink coffee. Some people said they couldn't drink it with milk. Some people said definitely not with full cream milk. So I think it's a bit of an experiment. I encourage the shorter the coffee, the better, because milky coffees end up being a lot of filling up this beautiful tummy that we've got that needs more nutrients than just milk and coffee. So it depends. You can put some tasteless collagen in it and spice it up a little bit as far as nutritional value goes. But yeah, don't use it as a snack when you could be putting some good food in there as well. So I'm going to skip past that. Winners this week. I'll share my screen because you'd like to see these. Winners of Transformation Tuesday. So every week we have winners who post their story and their before and afters. And here is our first winner, Graham Campbell McClare. And happy 3 years sleeve anniversary to me. Today, 3 years ago, I said goodbye and a big hello to my new life. What can I say? Thanks so many people I have met in this beautiful journey. I started at April 18 at 124 kilos, and in the 1st of January, I hit 50 kilos lost. That's amazing. From then, I have put back on 10 kilos, and now I love myself and accept myself. Wow, that's amazing. And what a huge thing to be able to say. I think that's amazing. So there's Graham's before and afters, and certainly a pretty inspiring story. So each week we have the opportunity for you to share in the group your story. It doesn't necessarily have to be in kilogram loss. It can be that, you know, now I can hang out with my kids more, or I can play a sport that I used to play, or I'm not in any pain, or there's a whole range of things that come from the success of the journey. But please keep sharing, because it keeps inspiring others, and a lot of people who are sitting on the fence, not quite sure if they want to go ahead. So, oh my goodness, the next winner is Shay Jano. I probably get all these names incorrect, but no one here to talk back to me. So there you go. Well done. Look at this transformation. I'm a bit late for Transformation Tuesday, but oh well. I was sleeved on the 27th of May, nearly 11 months in, and I'm down 60 kilos. I've gone from a size 24 to 26 to a size 12 to 14. I have a lot of skin that I'm working on to try and tighten up, but I'm so proud of how far I've come. I feel and look amazing, and I'm so happy overall, and you should be. You're a beautiful girl inside and out by the look of things to me. You are all amazing and doing a fantastic in your journey. And so well done. I think that's an incredible transformation as well. And look how happy you're looking. So I didn't announce the prize, which is a bit negligent. Check this out. Prize of the week. This one is WLSANZ. It's another group. Weight Loss Surgery Australia and New Zealand portion plate and bowl set. And so here's your bariatric portion, your proteins, half of your meal protein, your veggies, your little bit of rice, and in the middle, your essential, they call them essential fats for a good reason, because they're essential fats and oils. And then you've got your bowl as well, which it has the measurements on the inside as well, so you'll never go wrong. So we'll get that out to you guys. If you could please send an email to support@bnmulti.com, and we'll get your prizes out to you this week. Also, there was something, and we post the winners in the group on a Thursday as well to announce it as well. So I'm going to have a quick look and see if there's any questions. Quite often I can't see the comments for some reason, but generally I go back over it at the end. See, I've got the opportunity to comment, but I can't see any of the comments for some reason. So if there are questions, please post them in the comments below, and when I exit the live, I'll pop in and answer anything and follow things up as well. If you want more info on mindset, please visit the Australian Weight Loss Surgery podcast.com, because that's where it's all at. Keep participating and keep posting your, look, I can see the questions. Hang on. Me and technology. No, just people saying hi. So hi, everyone. Katrina, the usual suspects. Erin W. and Katrina and Maz, thanks for joining us. There's about 30 others. Hang in there for next week. In 2 weeks' time, I've got a special guest on, Chrissy Freer, who wrote the anti-inflammatory cookbook. We're going to talk about inflammation and its impacts on health, and how our diet either is inflammatory or anti-inflammatory, and what are the benefits. I'm also doing a podcast with her. And next week, we are back this time on Tuesday evening, talking about all things bariatric. So please stay tuned. Post your questions in the group if I can help you out during the week. Have a wonderful week. Bye. Stop the share. There we go. See ya.